The first thing I want to bring up is a show that I didn't even know existed until it was mentioned by one of the stars of it on YouTube. And this is a show called The Edge of Sleep. And it's based off of a book. There's also a podcast called The Edge of Sleep, which is also based off the book but differs slightly from it. Whereas this show, from people who've read the book, from what I've seen so far, is closer to the book. So my recommendation would be to watch the show. Um, and the podcast, by the way, there are some not every podcast out there is like this, where it's two assholes talking about shit. It's uh that is most podcasts, but there are some podcasts that are more like audiobooks, where there's an actual story being told, and like each episode is like an actual episode. It's like you're listening to a TV show, kind of, but it's being presented in an audio format you can follow. Several things have done this, like Dragon Age Veilguard has a prequel series podcast audio story.
I
Uh,
think one of the other podcasts Sarah listens to does that as well. I think it's called Welcome to Night Vale.
mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. That's one of them. And
She's seen them live too.
there's a Batman series. That's a story podcast. Yeah, there's a lot of good
Interesting.
ones. Yep, a lot of good ones like that. But anyways, the show is recommended. Here's the thing though. The main character of the story, Dave, is played both on the podcast and the show by the same person. And that person is Mark Fishbach, aka Markiplier, the YouTube star,
Oh,
the Let's Player.
okay.
Now, here's the thing. We do know Mark has actually been busy working on starring in, directing, and writing a movie that is based off of a horror game called Iron Lung, and it's gonna be like a legit like theatrical movie and shit. I think. Um,
Ooh, okay.
as of right now, because I listened to his podcast Distractible with Bob and Wade. As of right now, all the filming has been done for the most part. Well,
Mm.
actually, the filming is all done. All the filming is done. It's in post production, but Mark is doing a lot of the editing himself, and he's told tales of how much of a nightmare that can be. He's like, I've got terabytes upon terabytes upon terabytes of hard drives all over the place. you know, it's a nightmare. So, yeah. But yeah, so that's the thing. Mark is not the first person who started on YouTube to go on and find actual Hollywood fame. That has happened. Olin Rogers started his show, Final Space, on YouTube, and it got picked up by TBS. Viz-
Olin Rogers, is he the guy that did Ghost in the Stall?
I think so.
He was
Maybe.
so fucking funny.
Dude, Final Space was great. I'm sad it only got 3 seasons, but I loved that show while it was on. Um, and Vivzy Pop or Vizzy Pop or what? She, Has Been Hotel started on YouTube,
Yup.
and it got picked up by Amazon Prime, and now it's a legit show. You know,
Yeah.
so this happens. So I don't want people to hear that like a YouTuber is the star of this show or the star of that upcoming movie and brush it off based off of that, because the man can legit act. Like, this is it. And if you've seen his interactive movies on YouTube, a heist with Markiplier, a date with Markiplier, in space with Markiplier, where you make choices, it's like a choose your own adventure and first person thing.
Mm.
Um, he can act. He was good at it. Was a little more hammy in those, but like there's some legit, like, I had no idea he was even in a TV show until he mentioned this, and I went on Amazon Prime. This show is on Amazon Prime, by the way, The Edge of Sleep.
Okay.
Um, so if you have Prime, on Prime Video, so if you have Prime, the show is free to you with a Prime subscription. It is only 6 episodes long so far. One season in, and it's a 6 episode season, and that's it. Each episode is like 20-25 minutes. It's very bingeable. Like, you could watch it in like a day or two. um you know and So the setup for this is that this guy named Dave, he's the main character, but he's been having these weird dreams ever since he was a kid. He's being chased by this elephant monster. He sees these like weird dream cult people. His mom takes him to a special, dream therapist, and in a way, it kind of makes everything worse. In his future adult life, he keeps having these nightmares, and they affect his relationship with his girlfriend, who at the time this story picks up is his ex. But basically, him and his buddy Mateo are night watchmen, and Mateo, by the way, played by the guy who played Jefferson in DC's Legends of Tomorrow on the CW, Firestorm. So yeah, that's another thing that shows you the show is pretty legit. They got like actual actors in here too, so it's not just like a bunch of YouTubers and shit. There's like real people in here. Well, not to say that they're not real people. You know what the fuck I mean. There's A-listers in here. There's A and B listers in here. It's not just internet celebrities. It's TV people too.
Yeah.
So yeah. So this is like a legit produced TV show, and so basically they get off their third shift job, so they've been awake all night, and that's important. And they go to this party, and things don't turn out well at this party. There ends up being some dead bodies, and they freak out, and they take these bodies to the hospital, where they meet this nurse, and well, things keep going haywire from there. For some reason, something is going on to where anytime someone falls asleep, they die.
What?
Yes, if you fall asleep, you die. You do not wake back up. There is some kind of pandemic going on that's causing people to die in their sleep. And
what the hell?
And I don't want to dig too deep and spoil the mystery for people, but it may or may not be linked to the nightmares that Dave used to have as a kid.
Okay.
I would say, I would. So basically, as they're running around, the survivors, at this point, because everyone is just dropping dead, they fall asleep and poof, they're gone. And
Jesus.
So it's just Dave and his buddy Mateo and this nurse that they met named Linda and Dave's ex Katie. And they have to, basically this becomes about a way for them to A, figure out what the hell is going on and how to stop it, and B, how to stay awake long enough to do that,
Right.
And it really plays on the whole thing, like, if you stay awake for 48 hours straight, you start hallucinating and shit, and then it just gets worse from there. They do that. They do that. There's like one scene where someone's been up for like 72 hours and they have to fly a plane for a
Jesus
reason,
Christ.
for a reason I won't spoil, but they have to fly a plane, and they're doing outrageously desperate shit to keep themselves awake, like slapping themselves in the face, biting their own arm, like it gets to the point where they're like doing things like making small incisions on their skin with a knife and pouring peroxide on it to keep themselves awake with the pain.
Jesus.
And they're taking these pills called M that are like it's a fictional pill for this universe story, but it's basically like fucking cocaine, man. It's like adrenaline. It like, and they're doing that. They're popping these awake pills. They're
caffeine pills. Stuff.
Yeah, and if someone starts falling asleep, they stab them with an adrenaline needle to kind of bring them back. It's insane. But what I will say is that sleep isn't the only factor here, but I don't want to spoil anything, because there's a very interesting, I would argue even maybe almost paranormal mystery going on here.
Oh.
And yeah, it gives me vibes of a mixture. Dude. I would say this is a mixture of like 28 Days Later, Yellow Jackets, and Nightmare on Elm Street.
Really?
Is what is like, yeah, but not in very specific ways, though. Not like in a general, it's exactly like these things. There's bits and pieces of each of these things in it that make it what it is.
Yeah.
All I will say is that the further the show goes, it starts getting really weird near the end of the season. Like, it starts getting like very fever dream, but also that's intentional because the characters have been awake for so long that they're starting to have very delusional hallucinations and shit, and there is definitely something trying to stop them from accomplishing their goal. So
Mm-hmm.
they want you the viewer to feel just as delusional and confused as the characters are at that point, and they do a great job of that by doing like weird warpy camera tricks, and like you there gets to be a point where you really don't know what's real and what's not, just like them, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of the fun. Also, I will say again, no spoilers, but the end of the sixth episode, and this is how I can tell it's the end of the season, besides the fact there's a splash screen for the show title, but um they end on a very jaw-dropping, like, sort of cliffhanger, like a very something I would have never saw coming in a million years, honestly.
Okay.
Like it takes a direction I would not have expected, but it's the kind of thing that has me absolutely salivating for season two. Like I need season two now.
Okay.
It's that good. I give this show a 9 out of 10. I give season 1 a solid 9 out of 10, quite frankly.
Okay.
Like I don't really see a whole lot wrong with it, you know. It jumps back and forth between, you know, the um between the past when Dave is a boy and the present now when he's dealing with all this shit. There's a lot going on, but like I feel myself truly invested in the story, in the characters. I want them to succeed. I want them to survive. You know,
Yeah.
if something bad happens, I get legit sad, you know, and like it really shows. I'm very hopeful for Iron Lung now because seeing how Mark's acting in this show, it's raw, it's real. It feels, you know, like when he's having arguments with his ex in the show and stuff, it feels like a man who's been through this, you know, like he's putting some
Yeah.
real stuff into it. Um, you know, and that's the thing too, is I kind of like that this show feels real. These feel like real people. It doesn't feel like some glammed up gussied Hollywood thing, you know, like it doesn't feel like people acting in a movie. It feels like you're watching these real people trying to survive, and it's really well done. You know, it gives me this feels like a TV show that A24 would have done, quite frankly.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
yeah, but they didn't. But it feels like something they would have done, and
Yeah.
I love the song during the credits. You know, it's very like, ironically enough, it's a song about going to sleep, and it has a sort of like upbeat lullaby tone, and it's very catchy. I love it a lot.
Interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, The Edge of Sleep on Amazon Prime Video. Watch it. It has a 9 out of 10 on IMDb and a 5 out of 5 on Amazon.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's getting strong. Granted, that's probably Markiplier fans just rating it highly, but you know, still, I agree with it. I agree. It is really good, and it's not just because of him. It's genuinely good. Everyone in this show does a great job with their role. It's all good. So, in it gets really weird near the end, but I'm excited to see where it goes next.
Hell
So,
yeah. I'm excited to start watching it.
oh yeah, you're gonna have to tell me what you think.
Yeah, for sure.